We're joined now on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline by Revs head coach Caleb Porter. Caleb, how we doing?
Good. Joe and Beetle are taking the day off, huh?
That's unbelievable. So, like I just mentioned, we got a preseason game here, so both those guys bang out as they prepare for it. So I guess I'll start with this question. As a coach, how do you kind of approach preseason action, and how much can you take away from these type of matchups?
Yeah, I mean, it's good because you're playing someone different. You know, it gets old in preseason where you're just kind of sparring against yourself. So it's always good to kind of kick someone else and, in their case, tackle some different guys. And also there's an element of surprise. You know, it's difficult to prepare when, your group knows what the other group's basically going to do. So it's always good to go into a game with an opponent where it's a little bit of a mystery and there's adjustments that need to be made on the fly.
You're giving Zoe and Beetle way too much credit in terms of the work they're having to put into to this preseason game right now. But
Zoe's running a broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. The whole deal, right? So MLS transfer window closes last night. Caleb, can you just give us a recap of the additions overall that the Revs have made here?
Yeah, it's been a good window. It's a second window that Kurt and I have had to improve the team. First window we added, two good players, a goalkeeper and a central defender, and Aliaz and Xavi Arriaga. Those two guys made us better, and we think these four guys in will make us better as well. And typically it takes 3 windows to really put your mark on the squad and the roster. But we're on our way. We get a lot better, with the additions that we added. We added 2 international guys, a center mid who's going to really make us better, give us some athleticism, some ball winning, and some verticality to how we play. We added a winger from Argentina who will give us pace and hopefully more goals. We need to score more goals. And then we added 2 MLS proven pieces, a left back and a central defender. So 2 guys out, 4 guys in. And we're getting healthy. That's the big thing, too. So it's almost like we have 5 new signings with all the guys that are coming back from injury. Basically our, 2 of our 3 DPs and 1 of our young DPs are coming back. So we should have a really good squad to close the season out and hopefully push for the playoffs.
Caleb, I'm always so interested by the transfer window in soccer. I mean, I'm a baseball guy, and we spend, a lot of time talking about the MLB trading deadline, right? Well, you have 29 other teams that you need to look at to try and find a guy who can help your squad. You guys literally have to go through, a million leagues internationally, to find these players. What is the process really like? I find it overwhelming in FIFA to try and improve my team in the transfer window, let alone in real life when you're having to scour, again, how many dozens upon dozens of international leagues to find the type of player that you're looking for who might be available. Like, can you just explain how in-depth this process is to me?
Yeah, you got a couple hours.
Right.
On one hand, you have more options, right? But that also means, like you said, you have to be more thorough, and you're doing a lot of your scouting from afar. So you're trying to get to know guys in places where you can't just pick up the phone and say, call the coach and ask what's this guy like, tell me about him, or you see him live sometimes. You gotta watch him on. We have basically a scouting service where we can watch all these players. But we're very thorough. And, I always say this in every club I've been in, every window, we're always going to get better. And, if we nail our signings and every player we get right on the way in, and of course with that, there are going to be some guys that we have to move out. If you get those, players in and players out right along the way, you're going to end up building a really good team. And, I've been a part of, fortunately a part of 2 clubs that have won MLS Cup. And it took, at least a year or 2 to get players in and out and get the squad where it needed to be. So we're really making progress. But it's a long process. It's, we have a great team here of scouts. our technical director, Remy Roy, our assistant, sporting director, Chris Tierney, our sporting director, Kurt Anolfo. These guys do a great job of kind of drumming up players and having, you got to have bullets in the barrel. You can't just wing it. You got to have almost players lined up in every position. And then, when you need a player in a certain position, you've got bullets in the barrel to kind of, pull the trigger, look at those guys. And you never know, like we might target 3 guys, 3 positions, but then it changes. You take an injury and then all of a sudden it shifts and now you're looking at a different position. But so that's why you have to do a lot of initial legwork. And I'm really the final stage. I'm the guy that says yes or no. But if they're doing their job right, if they understand my vision, understand our player profiles, and even using analytics these days, we use a ton of analytics, key performance indicators in our game model to kind of say, hey, this guy will project in our league, even though he's in a different league, he'll project in our league. The analytics say he's on par with some of the players in our league, and he fits kind of the, KPIs in our game model, what we look for, so that helps. But there's a checklist, you got to do the medical, you got to do the background checks. I like to watch a guy at least 10 games, maybe more. So, all those things hopefully help you get it right. And, you don't always get it right, but, I've been pretty fortunate over the years to have some of the best signings in league history. I've had 3 newcomers of the year in our league, and some of the best players in MLS history. So it's been good, but there's also been a few I've got wrong. And maybe on those you weren't as thorough as you needed to be, and you rushed, and you got to go through the process. Otherwise you get it wrong.
You've talked to us before about the MLS roster rules being just super complicated. Is it unique for you guys in that there's an added extra pressure because there isn't much wiggle room to miss on a guy?
Yeah, a little bit, because you're spending big money. The other thing that's very unique in our league is the transfer fees. We have to pay a fee to a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times to get a guy. I was a part of in Columbus signing Cucho Hernandez, who's, in my opinion, the best striker in the league right now. We had to pay $12 million to get him, and that's a lot of money, and so when you spend more money, your owners are saying he spent $12 million, you better get it right. Yeah. Fortunately, we got that guy right, and in Portland, I had Diego Valeri and Sebastian Blanco, and we got those guys right, and those guys cost big money. I had Lucas Zelleran, who was $8 million in Columbus, and we just signed our highest transfer fee in club history in Lucas Langoni for little over $6 million. So you have to pay these days to get good players, because these clubs don't want to let a good player go. Sometimes you're fortunate you'll get a guy on a free transfer because he's at the end of his contract, but that's very rare because clubs aren't going to let a good player get to the end of his contract because it's an investment. These players they're investments. It's like buying a house. If you buy a nice house and fix it up and sell it, you can really recoup a lot of your money or make money, ideally. And our club's actually done really well in selling players and making money. We've sold a couple players to Premier League, to Belgium, different leagues. So if you can make money, then now you can use that money to reinvest back in your club. And, it's nice always when you can reward the owners with a little bit of extra money and say, hey, we got this one right. And actually we doubled his money.
All right, he is Caleb Porter, the New England Revolution. Caleb, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it. And Zoe and Bertrand should be back next week as well. So there you go.
Good. Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I thought your questions were better. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, we'll talk to you next week, Caleb. See you.
I'm joking. Take care, guys. See ya.